Hey everybody, it's me Aaron and welcome back to Lloyd's Comics Collectibles, and today we're going to be talking about this past Sunday's Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank, because the latter match is technically a match inside of Money in the Bank. Our first match is a fatal four-way between the New Day, Lucha House Party, Forgotten Sons, and Ms. Morrison. And the way this differs is this is not an elimination tag match. There's two people that start the match from one of the four, each from one of the four teams, and they can tag in anyone else from the four teams at any time. So it's really interesting, but it makes it hard to follow. So if you're reading the typed review and it's a little vague, it's because to really get the feel of it, you're gonna have to watch it. But I'll give you some high points. So Kofi and Grand Metalik start us off, and they have a really cool sort of series of chain wrestling where Kofi gets the advantage one time, and then they lock up again, do another series of chain wrestling, and Grand Metalik gets the advantage. Sort of reminded me of what the Cruiserweights used to doing back during the day in like WCW. But to give you a sense of how quick things can change, I believe it was Cutler tags himself in and knocks everybody off the apron, and then when he goes to hit the ropes again, Miz tags himself in. That leads to Miz and Grand Metalik performing a Spanish fly from the post to the outside on all the other teams as they're recovering. It was really cool to see because it's not something you see very often. And there was a line in the match that I really liked because Cole's talking about how Woods is not there because he's recovering from an Achilles injury, and Corey Graves asked if Achilles injury is code for video game addiction. So I thought that was pretty cool. But when we get back, to the match itself, the Forgotten Sons control the match for a bit, but Metalik finally gets a tag into Lindsay because Metalik is in this match for a long time. And Lindsay comes in just strong and shows off a bunch of really cool Lucha Libre moves, really using his speed like the Lucha House Party is known for. And one cool move was Miz comes in to save John Morrison from a pinfall, and Lindsay drop kicks him into a moonsault back onto Morrison. So I'm not saying like he drop kicked Miz and then like came back and planted and did a moonsault on Morrison. He literally drop kicked him, pushed off of Miz, and did a moonsault to Morrison. So that was really cool, because you'll see that's a hallmark of this match. It's really fast paced because you have the Lucha House Party who are known for the speed. Kofi's known for his speed, and Morrison, and then Kofi, and then like Big E's your powerhouse. Miz is kind of a middle ground. The Forgotten Sons, I'm really getting into them as a tag team because they have tag team moves, but they're more grounded, I guess. They're kind of like dirty moves. It's not as pretty. It's kind of an interesting contrast to see in this match. After a few more tags, we get Cutler and Big E in the match, and Cutler is just stomping mud hole and E in the corner and just beating him down. So Kofi has to blind tag himself back in, and E picks him up and puts him kind of in a powerbomb position, and Kofi jumps off and stomps as E powerbombs him to the mat. It was a really cool move to see. And see, there's also leads to a point where I got kind of confused, because Riker is the third man of Forgotten Sons, kind of like, I guess they're going to kind of wrestle off sort of the Freebird thing like the New Day. And Riker pulls down the ropes as Big E comes to hit the ropes and falls to the outside, and the ref throws him out. And that's only strange because in a Fatal 4-Way there is no DQ. So I don't understand why he threw the ref out, but there's nothing that technically states he can't, I guess. It's just weird. I guess maybe it was just to add some drama at one point. Anyways, we get back into the ring. Grand Metalik goes to do a big flying crossbody on E. E rolls through, picks him up, and it's going to put him in the big ending. And Kofi comes in and cuts off Lindsay, who's trying to save his partner. E hits him with the big ending. 1, 2, 3, they retain the belt. And honestly, guys, this was a great fast-paced match. I'm not doing it justice because since anyone can tag anyone in, it was so hectic and it would be hard to write it all down. So up next we have a real quick promo from Lacey Evans talking about her plans to win money, like how her strategy for winning Money in the Bank. And then we go into the match 2, which is R-Truth versus MVP. Or is it? Because after they have a little comedy skit bit between MVP and R-Truth about balling and things like that, Bobby Lashley interjects himself and basically tells MVP to go home, and it's basically a squash match. Bobby Lashley runs over Truth for the 1, 2, 3. It's a little better than that, because if you enjoy Truth's comedy, you'll like that segment. But it was very blatantly a quick match to give you time to catch your breath and settle down as we go into the rest of the matches, because you just had a high-octane, high-speed match. Then we come back to another promo from King Corbin going on about how he's going to win the Money in the Bank, and he gloats about all the people he's sort of beaten up over the past couple of weeks, and he's going to become King Money in the Bank. And our next match is Bayley versus Tamina for the WWE Women's the WWE Women's Championship, with Sasha Banks at her side. And they do have a little pre-match promo where they're kind of pointing out to Sasha, or to Bayley, that Sasha cost her the match the week before. I guess they're trying to set up the inevitable point at which I guess Sasha turns on Bayley and goes for the title. But we come out, and I kind of had some concerns about this match just because I didn't know if they were going to seriously let Tamina compete or if this was going to be a throwaway match. But I was really happy to see that throughout the course of the match that Tamina got in offense and looked strong, but we'll sort of cover that as we go. So Bayley and Sasha are playing classic heels. They boo Tamina during her introduction and cheer Bayley during hers. And Bayley does the fun. It's like the weirdest strategy you would think, because Tamina is obviously the powerhouse in this situation, and just starts shoving Tamina and yelling at her and goes, "You're trying to be nice to Tamina. You can't be nice. You won't win the title being nice." And you're sitting there going, why are you prodding this woman who's just going to crush you? And then that starts the match, and Tamina basically just slams her. Obviously the strength advantage being with Tamina. And it was really funny, because after all that berating, Tamina's fired up, and Tamina has Bayley on her shoulder and is just spanking her and puts her on top of the top turnbuckle and literally fusses at her like you're getting yelled at by your mom, like being disrespectful. And Bayley begs the ref to back Tamina off, and does the slow sort of crawl down from the top of the rope, playing that classic heel that is kind of in over their head, and being scared of this fired up babyface. Really playing a good heel. And the match sort of pivots at a point when, sorry, the puppers are barking, when Bayley gets in some shots to Tamina's knees. And I really liked, because I feel like selling is so lost in the sport, Tamina consistently sells the knee throughout the match. And a lot of times, even if like the heel does the heel thing and works a body part, they'll stop selling it partway through the match. And Tamina didn't, and I really liked that. Anyway, Bayley trips her on when she's on like the outside of the ring, and wraps Tamina's knee a couple more times around the post. Typical heel strategy, because this neutralizes Tamina's power advantage. And then a lot of the story of this match is just Bayley being the classic heel, not learning to not prod the bear. And then she'll get the advantage, and then she'll insult Tamina, and then Tamina will fire back up, run her over for a little bit, and then she'll cut Tamina off with a shot to the knees. At one point, she even takes a water break and just throws the water in Tamina's face. And Tamina just grabs her by the scruff of the neck and slides out the ring. It's great. It was and I feel like that was the story of this match, was like Bayley was sort of bullying Tamina, and then Tamina fighting back for herself and, firing up. Unfortunately, Tamina does get in the Samoan drop, and you think she's about to win, and Sasha slides in the ring and looks at Tamina and distracts Tamina long enough to Bayley to get her with a crucifix pin. And Bayley retains, but it was a good match because it was good heel versus babyface stuff. There was even a good spot that I forgot about. I was just thinking about it, where Bayley tries to do the Samoan drop on Nia after she gets an advantage, and Bayley can't support Nia's weight and just falls, and Tamina falls dead on top of her. But the good storytelling there was that Tamina couldn't immediately follow up her offense because of the knees and things. So it was really good storytelling, and I hope they keep building up Tamina. I'm speculating in my head, fantasy booking, maybe if she keeps getting screwed by Sasha, they'll have a cage match in the future to decide this feud, and maybe Tamina will come out with the belt, because it'd be nice to see some new faces with the belt instead of... I feel like sometimes the WWE cycles through the same people just a lot. But it was a really good women's match. You should go watch it. It was good storytelling. I loved it. Then our next match is Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship, where Bray wants Braun to return home, because if you know Braun's backstory, he sort of got his start, I guess, in the WWE as part of the... What's not I guess, he did as part of the Wyatt family. He was the black sheep. So Bray's been playing these mind games with Braun, trying to get him to come back home. And Braun's thing is him proving that Bray Wyatt didn't make me. I am where I am in my career due to my own hard work. And it starts off interesting because Bray's not a small man, but compared to Braun Strowman, Braun still has the power advantage. But no matter how much Braun beats him down and throws him into the corner, Bray doesn't really sell it. He sort of gets a sick and twisted pleasure out of it. To one point, when he's in the corner, he goes, "Oh my, somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning." It was really great. And in the early parts, Braun really controls the match. And then, at one point, Braun goes for his patented, loop around the ring, tackle, shoulder tackle. I think they're calling it the Strowman Express or something like that. And right as he's about to hit Bray sidesteps, throws him across the table. That's a pretty good spot. And then Bray starts taking control of the match. At this point, I think it's Festus. I can't remember the name of the pig, pops up and cheers on Bray. And there was a good little spot here where Bray sort of takes over for a bit, and he's still talking to these voices. And at one point he gets real mad, and he looks at Braun after throwing him into the steel steps and says, "Look what you made me do." And then the story here as we go on ends up being that Braun gets in, his tackle and takes control of the match. And Bray, when he throws Bray back in the ring, Bray gets up, kicks him from the apron to the floor. And when Bray looks up, there's Braun Strowman with the black sheep mask on. And this kind of stops Bray in his tracks, because it's like his master plan has come to fruition. And Braun rips off his Braun Strowman shirt and acts... If you've seen his caricature where he'll turn his head sideways with the mask and things like that, plays into what Bray is thinking, and they embrace. And you're kind of sitting there stopping from it did he get in his head despite what Braun said? Have we just started reforming the Wyatt family? And then Bray shoves him off, stomps the sheep's mask, and picks him up and power slams him. And for the 1, 2, 3, it was... Bray's character is interesting because I'm always afraid they're going to do The Fiend and Bray Wyatt like they did old school Bray Wyatt, where he says a lot of things and never delivers, and that destroys the character. But I'm wondering if Bray is their way of letting him lose, and then this builds up story to bring in The Fiend where he'll dominate a performance to get a win. Because after, I guess you could say, Braun gets the advantage and gets the win, you see Bray just laying in the corner staring at him, and they cut in some quick flashes of The Fiend. So I don't think this feud's over. I think this is to tell a story to further the feud, and maybe it'll come to a head next month or the month after that. I also hope you guys like how this is. I'm trying to focus less on the written review and doing move for move in the video. And if you guys like me telling the story of the match when I can, if that's a better way for me to do these reviews, and then you guys can go watch the match and see what we got there, let me know in the comments, because I'm sort of iffy about covering everything like I have. Because I tried that on a couple of the later matches with the written review, and I hope this goes a little smoother. Okay, our next match is the 5th match of the night. Is Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. And you know, Seth's been saying for weeks, this is my burden to bear. I'm the Monday Night Messiah. Drew, you can't bear this. You're not ready. So they set up this weird thing where big old Drew McIntyre is kind of portrayed as the underdog coming into this match. And it has a good start with some really good chain wrestling that is them feeling each other out, like trying to prove that, like, it's almost like Drew's trying to prove that he's worthy of the title to Seth, even though he has nothing to prove. Like, you're not going to beat me. And in the early part, Drew really does control the match, despite them being... It seems like when they're wrestling, they're even. And then there'll be moments where Drew's power will be a deciding factor in a quick flurry. But, kind of like in the Tamina match, how do you stop the stronger man? You take his legs out, and Seth works the legs. And Drew does a really good job of selling that fact after he takes a couple of drop kicks to the knees. And it really makes you feel for him because he's fighting back against something. It's not like, oh, my knee was hurt and then 2 seconds later, I'm fine. It's a really good way to do the match itself. And then Seth takes control for a bit, and he starts grinding down Drew because now that Drew's a little compromised, Seth's speed sort of trumps, you know, Drew's strength. And then he there's this one series of submission holds he gets Drew in that is just great. He's got him down for a good minute, and it's like 3 different submission holds, and he's just grinding the bigger man down, taking control of the match. And you sort of think in your head for a second, like, is Drew ready for this? Maybe all this stuff Seth's been saying is true. And then they get into this phase where they do some just back and forth. Like, Drew will have it for a minute, then Seth will have it for a minute, to the point that not even the Drew's DDT. It was the movie used when he first came to WWE. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I want to say Shattered Dreams. Nah, it's called. You know what I'm talking about. And you know, Seth even hits the superplex into the Falcon Air, and it's not enough to keep Drew down. And it's just this grind, and it's good back and forth until Seth nails Drew with a super kick, and Drew rebounds off of the ropes and hits him with the Claymore kick for the 1, 2, 3, but both men are exhausted. It's a real good match, tells that good story where they were very close and even, and as Drew goes to leave the ring, he steps back in and offers Seth his hand and says, "You say you're a leader, be a man, shake my hand," as a show of respect. So I think they're gradually turning, like, they want Drew to stay aggressive and have an edge, but they're kind of turning him gradually babyface as he's sort of representing the company. But it was a really good, fantastic match, and I'm kind of wondering, where are we going to try to turn Seth baby and go away from this Monday Night Messiah idea, or has this feud just started? But it was a great match. Both guys left it all in the ring. You will not be disappointed. Now, guys, this last one is a doozy, because I didn't realize until I watched the pay-per-view that both Money in the Bank matches are going to be occurring simultaneously. And the objective this year is you have to work your way up through WWE HQ to the roof to get the briefcase. And this match is a good combination of comedy and some wrestling, because like we start off on the ladies' side. After everyone's introduced, Asuka is like on, it's not a balcony, but it's like, I guess, the second floor that looks down on the first, and jumps off in a flying crossbody on all the ladies down there on the bottom, and just makes a mad dash for the elevator. So Asuka's out to an early lead. So just so to keep this straight, our ladies' side of the things is Asuka, Lacey Evans, Shayna Baszler, Carmella, Nia Jax, and Dana Brooke. And then we go over to the guys' side of things, and you've got AJ, Otis, Aleister Black, Baron Corbin, Rey Mysterio, and Daniel Bryan. And they start off in the weight room. And I thought I had while they were doing this is they were so close to other weight equipment. It'd have been real easy for somebody to get hurt. And I'm glad they didn't. Because I'm sure maybe they staged some of this and shot it in parts as opposed to one continuous thing. They probably shot it in parts, put it together. So it's kind of sort of like a movie, like the Boneyard match and things like that. But I feel like it blurred the lines a little better. But one of the early bits in the guy's side, and I'm not telling you everything. You'll have to go watch this because there's so many Easter eggs and bits that I couldn't cover it all. Is Corbin's fighting, and he picks up the weight and tries to hit Bryan with it and throws it and misses, and it shatters one of those big long like weight room mirrors. And Corbin just gets this look on his face like, oh crap, are they going to make me pay for that? And it was pretty great. And then another one down in the weight room is AJ gets a bench press bar full of weights set on him by Otis. And everybody just leaves him down there, including, the superhero Ray doesn't even stop to help him. It was pretty great. I laughed real hard. And they sort of tear on. Most of the guys end up their elevator, but Ray has to make up the distance on foot. We cut back to the ladies. They're fighting up a flight of stairs. It was, I think, Lacey, Shayna, and Carmella. And I just cracked up because when Lacey gets to the top, she calls them, she goes, "You nasty things," which I always thought it's very much a phrase an older Southern woman would use. So hearing Lacey say it to me always sort of cracks me up. The men fight some more before we cut back to the ladies fighting in the money. I guess it makes no sense to me, but I guess it's an actual Money in the Bank conference room. I don't know if that's where they discuss everything about Money in the Bank, or if that's just a theme for one of the conference rooms in Titan Towers. Maybe that's what it is. And there's a clear Money in the Bank. Maybe it was one of the early Money in the Bank briefcases with a bunch of money in it, and they fight in there, and everybody's just getting thrown all over the place. And Dana Brooke grabs the briefcase off the ceiling, and he's just sitting there acting like she won, like maybe they pulled a fast one. And then Stephanie cuts in and goes, "Dana, first off, the real briefcase is on the roof, and can you clean up this mess?" And Nia Jax is like face down, and she goes, "Because Nia's drooling all over the carpet. It's kind of gross." It was real funny, I thought. And then we come back to the men. AJ is looking for Ray because he's mad because Ray left him there with the weight on his chest. And he flips out when he sees a big picture of Taker behind him because he, last month he lost the Buried Alive match, and he's flipping out. And that was a pretty good little bit. And there's a few other things there I'm not telling you about. Like I said, go, if you got the network, go watch it. There's a lot of good comedy bits in here. And even if you don't, it's worth the free trial for a month. It was really good. I enjoyed it. And then the next sort of big thing we'll tell you is both the men and women come together, and I guess it's like a side room from the cafeteria or catering area, and you got Paulie sitting there acting like he's going to eat some stuff. And then Otis just flips out and screams food fight, and they have a food fight between the men and women. And there's some other good bits in here, but it was really funny because it was juvenile but made me laugh because it was a way for the men and women to really interact without wrestling. So that was really cool. Then we cut to another spot a bit later after, going back and forth where Aleister Black and Daniel Bryan are fighting each other, and AJ interjects himself. So it's now AJ versus Daniel Bryan, and they bust into Mr. McMahon's personal office. And it's funny because he spins around, looks at him, and they all just stop, and they got that look like when you were in high school and you got caught by the principal. It's pretty funny. And finally, we more or less at this point get to the roof. The ladies get there first, and it's basically Asuka, Nia Jax, and Lacey Evans, and the ladies scuffle back and forth. But as Asuka's climbing the ladder, Lacey tries to pull her down, and Asuka gives Lacey some back elbows and knocks Lacey off into Nia, and that removes those two for Asuka to climb to the top and capture the women's Money in the Bank briefcase. And she's your winner. And then the men show up, and it's basically Baron Corbin, Otis, but I think all the men except for maybe... No, AJ makes it, so all the men make it up there, and they scuffle around for a while. There's some good bits in there. And basically it breaks down to Otis gets knocked out by a phenomenal forearm, and AJ and Baron Corbin end up being the last two fighting for the briefcase because they both sort of unlatch it at the same time, so they're fighting for it. And then AJ basically fumbles the briefcase while they're fighting. And Otis catches it. He's standing down there at the bottom of the ladder. So Otis was won the Money in the Bank, men's Money in the Bank. It was a really good match. And it was funny because I was wondering how they were going to have Otis be in if he was going to even be figured in, because every time he tried to get up on the ladder, the thing broke. And he says, "Mandy, I did it." So sort of like a Rocky reference. So that was really cool. And it doesn't do this match justice. While it was filmed very well that you could follow it, it was chaotic. And there's a lot of Easter eggs I want you guys to go see in this match and not ruin it all for you. But let's talk about the overall pay-per-view. None of the matches on this card I felt were bad or subpar. You could argue the weakest one was the squash match with Truth and Lashley. But it was set in there to purposely be sort of a down note to let you sort of digest all the action we'd seen in the tag match. Because it was like 100 miles an hour. And like I said, if you like Truth's comedy, it was still pretty good. And then the women's match, like I said, was real good. Told sort of a good story of, I guess, Bayley being the heel and kind of bullying Nia, and Nia fighting back for herself. Like I said, she really had a strong performance, even if she did get screwed out of the title by the time it was all said and done. And I hope that feud's not done. This is just like the beginning of a chapter, because I'd like to see Nia, because I've never seen Nia with the belt. I'm not sure she ever has won the belt, so let's rotate out the usual cast of characters and get a new champion in here, even if it's just for a couple months. I think would be a great idea. And then we had the Braun Strowman Bray Wyatt match was really good. It was because Bray Wyatt's character always leaves you wanting more, because you're like, well, is this the end of it? What are his plans? We don't really understand the new Bray Wyatt, so it always leaves you wanting more. And it was good to see Braun hold on to the belt and sort of banish his demons, at least for the time being. Now we'll see how that plays out, because like I said, I don't think that's the end of this feud. It seems like it'd be weird to do all this and then Bray just let it be. I guess he could. They could. There's no reason they can't, but it seems like it'd be weird. The Drew match really establishes him as the man with the belt. And like I said, I think they're doing a shift, because Drew's kind of been a heel. Now he's going to be like a confident baby face. That kind of more like a Stone Cold Steve Austin, I guess. That kind of middle ground between like a baby face and a heel. Like he's brash and confident, but he's also kind of a nicer guy now. So that was really good. And the Money in the Bank match itself was hysterical. It is hands down probably the best match of the night, just because it was so funny and entertaining. Bar that, probably Seth and Drew was the match of the night. It was a really good competitive back and forth. If you guys like wrestling, get the network, go see it for $9.99. I'm not getting paid, but hey, it's worth it if you consider what pay-per-views normally cost. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope this was a little bit better than telling you everything in it. If you read my written review, you'll see I skipped some stuff, left some stuff out. I hope this flows better. And if you like it better, let me know. And I'll see you next time, guys. Peace.